say that your teacher's actions were unique to him, i.e. Motivated by purely personal interest? Or was it more that he was part of a church or a group that had this ethos of indoctrinate early, spread the word, this kind of thing?
He's also a youth pastor.
Right.
From a Baptist church in our town.
Okay.
So that does say a little bit, but I'm never 100% sure of what motivates them to do it, but I do know that it's very important now to, get them young, make sure they get it now, because they don't want to be challenged when they get older. Well, one of the things my teacher actually said during class, and one of the things that's on the recordings, is that he was giving an example, and he said, if my kid is age 12 and he's telling me, Dad, I appreciate what you've done for me, but I'm going to stop going to church, after I break his backside, we're going to have a little attitude adjustment and he's going to go to church.
That's lovely.
Great. So, I mean, it shows what he thinks. But then on the other hand, he also told another student not to listen to his parents about his religious beliefs.
Just listen to me.
Just listen to me. Even though if you deny your parents, you should.
Well, in the Bible,
get slapped.
You'll get in a lot of trouble if you deny your parents.
Well, right, and so it's very clear that the religious right in general wants to get them young, and if they do challenge it, they want to. I don't know if they're all in favor of physically beating to get them into submission or not, but he seems to be. But they don't want them to challenge, and the easiest way to do that is bring them up in a way that they're not supposed to challenge. And unfortunately, schools support that idea in general, even if it's not about religion, even if it's about just listening to what your teacher says. And I experienced that in multiple ways, not only dealing with this particular situation, but other ways as well in high school.
So speaking of getting them while they're young,
right.
There's a lot of pressure over here to build more faith schools, which take a lot of public money and have a unifaith ethos. What do you think of that?
Well, when I first heard about it, I thought, well, it's good that we want to give money to students who want to go to a different school other than a public school, because I don't know if it works the same way here, but essentially if you live in a certain general area, you either go to the public school there or you go to a private school, and usually the private school is affiliated with one particular religion or another. And so in that sense, I thought it was good originally, but then I realized if the government is giving money to a school that is based in a particular religion, you are then supporting a religion, essentially. And unfortunately, that's it seems is going to happen, or is starting to happen in the States as well. That's something Barack Obama seems to be in favor of, is giving government money to religious schools through the faith-based initiatives, which I think, was started by George W. Bush. So it's really interesting to watch. There are decent arguments on both sides, but I think it's most important that we make sure that governments really aren't sponsoring religion and paying for it. I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. And in the US, the separation of church and state is less polarized than in the UK, believe it or not. There seems to be a sort of agreement sometimes between atheist groups and some religious groups that it's best to have a faith-neutral public arena in certain areas.
Right.
But over here, not so much yet. What do you think UK campaigners can learn from the US, if anything?
Well, I think that's one of the most important things. It's unfortunate because a lot of times even organizations that agree with each other on basic principles will end up going against each other for one particular reason or another. And I think you can do the best job possible when you're facing any situation when you have multiple groups working together for a common goal. That's what that's what ended up happening in the States with slavery. Different people from different groups, and particularly with Martin Luther King and John F. Kennedy and all of that, there were whites, there were blacks, there were everybody working together on one common goal. And I feel like that's the way that we accomplish so much. So I hope we can continue that, but it gets very, very, very delicate on the topic of religion.
Yeah.
Very delicate.
It's hard to find a middle ground, really, sometimes.
Very, right. But luckily we do have some who actually are willing to do that, which is great to see. But I wish we could have more. Just keep building.
I don't know. I've noticed by just watching the European version of God TV, a sort of creeping evangelism coming over from the States and being replicated here. What battles do you think we can expect if that does get a foothold?
It's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell. I mean, you know, there are so many things that are unpredictable about the future. I mean, imagine living 50 years ago, you know, in the States, and now we have Barack Obama as president. You know, I mean, things are just so unpredictable. But I think it's certainly going to be a challenge that you're going to have to face here. But we certainly have to face it as well. I mean, it's an issue that's been spreading, I think, in a sense. It's very strange because I noticed that in some polls, people will say that you know, they identify themselves as a particular religion. Like they'll say, you know, 60% of us say that we are Christian, and then you ask how many believe in God, and sometimes it'll be a smaller number, and sometimes it'll be a larger number. So it's with those kind of numbers and those kind of different people and different ideas, it's very hard to tell where things are going to go and how things are going to change.
Yeah, for some people, Christianity seems to be a little bit of a Sunday jaunt to the church and meet people and socialize.
Well, right, and some of that is good in a sense. I mean, you know, you go to some. I've been to different churches. I went to I think I might be wrong on this. I think I went to a Unitarian church for a little while in New York City just to see what different things were like, and it was fun. You know, I mean, everybody was having fun. They were singing a song. It was a fun environment, and you got to talk to people and meet with people, and that's great. But then this other stuff comes in with, you know, you have to believe in God, and you know the story of Noah's Ark, and some of those things like that I personally think are foolish in a way, and you know, that's where I feel like things go off course. But that's something I think that all people can learn, is that kind of stuff is useful. The fun and the cheering and the songs and all, that's great. But right, let's keep that, right, because that's useful. But I'm not so sure about how effective the rest is.
And finally, what does the future hold for Matt LaClair? Do you think that you'll continue with some form of activism, or was this just one person at the right place, the right time, sticking up for the issue of the day?
I guess a little bit of both. I mean, none of this could have happened if my teacher and my entire school system didn't screw up so badly. I mean, it really was one awfully dumb thing after another, constantly. So I happened to be in the right place at the right time. But there were apparently a lot of students that were in the right place at the right time, but just didn't do anything about it. For me personally, I think I'm probably going to continue doing things like this. I already have. I actually challenged an inaccurate textbook in my next year of high school that ended up going nationwide, and that was the story too. So I feel like that's something that I'm probably going to continue, but I'm not going to look for it. You know, if something happens, which things always do, then if I can do something about it, I will. But it's, you know, as far as what I'll do as a job or anything, I don't know yet. Maybe journalism, maybe law, but they all kind of involve, I guess, a little bit of trying to talk about things that may be going wrong. So I think that's something I'll probably like to continue.
That's great. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
You've been great.
All right. Thanks.